few weeks ago, Sam Harris conducted a podcast, and he was talking to Masha Gessen, and basically the podcast was talking about her thoughts. And one of the things that she said that I thought was really important is that democratic institutions are not designed for and cannot withstand bad faith actors. Now, right after that, Sam Harris kind of fell down his Islamic rabbit hole. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on the podcast. I really want to spend more time on what I think Masha Gessen was saying and some extensions to her ideas. All right, so focus on the not designed for and bad faith actors. So let's look at what the democratic institutions are. In democracy, the three major institutions are the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch of governing. And she says basically they're standing on this thin ice of collaboration and deliberation. And so I guess the idea is, can we fortify that? But her focus right now is that when you have bad faith actors that are acting in concert, and you have them in all three of those institutions, that the institutions really can't withstand them. But her focus, as far as bad faith actors, is more on the word actors, at least originally. And so she talks about a lot of the current bad faith actors that we have out there, and then basically the bullies that are addressing the people who are supposedly being collaborative and deliberative. And so she says these collaborative and deliberative individuals are really just out of luck, because the dumb blunt force of these people who are the bad faith actors, they just shoot away and they destroy the collaborative stuff. What I'd like to do is also address the whole idea. Let's focus also on the concept of bad faith. Even the existentialists tell us that bad faith are things like faith, hope, love, grace, joy, justice, peace, and service. And those are some of the values that are bad faith values. And Fukuyama tells us that there's a slew of bad faith processes that basically create a political decay. And then there's also governing biases that formulate in terms with regards to bad faith. Well, let's look at what the principles of democracy should be, right? The rule of law is equally binding on all, equal public services to all, reflective of broad consensus, and embedded in a separate judicial. The bureaucracy itself, the state bureaucracy, has to be centralized, hierarchical, autonomous, impersonal, and empowered. And then democratic accountability is where we have free multiple party elections, and we have the appropriate capacity, the appropriate process, team rules, and environment to make something happen. We have an effective principal agent metaphor, and the people have a say in what and how the services that are delivered, what services are delivered and how they're delivered. And these things, are kind of under attack. Now, let's look at from a philosophical perspective. If you look at, we have a worldview, and from our worldview, we establish our values. In democracy, the end value is that we want to maximize the number of people that have a say in their history. So if we want to do that, all right, let's look at the policy that we've put together here in the United States. The policy in our Constitution is really kind of weak, because it actually advantages liberty over equality. It doesn't have hardly anything in it at all about equality, which gives us the capability to have a rich over poor world. And it also advantages white over people of color. There were only 3/5 in terms of the voting. It kind of advantages males over females up until we put in a constitutional amendment. And now and then you have the Senate, where you have some states that have a population of 500,000, have the same number of senators as states that have 39 million. And the Electoral College follows along that. So these become policy biases that are inherent inside the document themselves. And so the question that is in my mind is bad faith it contains both biases and actors, and both of those can be as damaging as just one. And what can we do to kind of fortify that collaboration and deliberation ice? And I think it's if we start to kind of encourage and champion things like courage, intellectual integrity, honesty, and ambition, which is the marriage of humility and ambition. And so what we're saying is that let's ask the journalist, which Masha is, let's ask them to ignore the sword of the bad actors, because we do believe that the pen is mightier than the sword, and let's go after. But the only way they can do that is the journalists themselves. If they break their link between themselves and bad faith biases and the bad faith actors, and they start to champion some of the real issues, some of the necessary changes at the constitutional level, and they start to champion some of the changes that have to occur with regards to all of all of our music, our art, our games, our architecture, our fairy tales, all of these things, because this whole thing is wrapped together. These biases are wrapped into those, and that's the challenge that I think that journalists really have to take on is this whole area. Thank you.